Oh, yeah. Welcome to the FootyCast live from BackChat Studios. Southern River Band boys out of Thornley there with the intro music. Saw Cal at the Socceroos game. Shelter FootyCast, we are here for, you know what to do. Follow us on social. Shelter FootyCast on Instagram. You can send us an email and get involved with the show. FootyCast at backchatstudios.com.au. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. No Mark Reddings. Oh, boy. It would have been funny to have the camera set up, actually switch into Skeeter's empty chair, but Skeeter is not here. I will say the last time I saw Skeeter, right, the last time I saw him, he was stumbling down the stairs at Shelter behind his mum. His mum, beautiful mum, Bernie, Bernadette, just a saint of a woman looking after that man. I mean, seriously, like I just explained Skeeter's day on Saturday. He went to the Dunsborough Tavern. He put bets on. He sat there by himself, by the way, no one there. Just like had beers, put bets on, cheeky dart. Bourbons came out at some point. Mum picked him up. Mum dropped him off. Mum picked him up, drove him to Shelter, came to Shelter. Terrific form at the Shelter FootyCast live event at Shelter Brewing Co. Last seen stumbling down the stairs with his mum taking him home. I mean, if that's not the day that all men dream of, I don't know what it is. So we've lost Skeeter. He's still down south. He's probably in the doghouse. I reckon he's in the doghouse. And we couldn't find a replacement. You can't replace Skeeter. So it's just me today. Hopefully we'll be having a good yarn with you. We'll get through it, get through all the games like we usually do. Speaking to the boys down at Shelter, sounds like lots of you are getting involved with is the footy better with Shelter? This week, of course, we're asking, is the footy better with a Shelter lager? That's right. If you're a beer drinker, this is probably the one for you. Just a beautiful, crisp lager you can get into you. No, lots of you bought them over the weekend. We're going to be awarding the prize, which is a night's a com at the Hilton, dinner and beers at Shelter, lunch and beers at Golf, Par 3 Golf, chocolate, wine, and a carton of Shelter. Going to be awarding that next Monday. So you've got time to order yourself a carton of lager, watch the footy, and tell us, is it better with a lager? If it's not, I want to know too, all right? A little bit too much positivity for mine. I want to know if it's made it worse. I will say I don't know if the footy could have got much worse in Bunbury. Wouldn't matter what you were doing. But if you want to do that, you can go to shelterbrewing.com.au, use lager20 to get 20% off at checkout. It'll be about a $50 carton of beers. So on you if you want to do it. Go and get it. Have some beers with the footy. You can get amongst it. All right, let's get into some big issues of the round. Now, this one was a bit of a strange one, I think, and it leads all news stories out of the weekend. Andrew Dillon, the CEO of the AFL, drove to Bailey Smith's house to talk to him about his off-field actions with Chris Scott, Andrew Mackie, and Steve Hocking. So Chris Scott being the coach, Andrew Mackie being head of footy, and Steve Hocking being the CEO of Geelong. If I got any of those wrong, I do apologise. But it's basically all the decision makers at Geelong, as well as the biggest decision maker in the country in Andrew Dillon. Number one, how does this get out? Obviously, one of those have got loose lips. If it was just those four, then someone's got loose lips there. So don't know who that is, if that's AFL-driven or Geelong-driven or player-driven or manager-driven. Just so you know, with all these stories, someone's leaked it. It's not like Mitch Cleary who broke this, isn't in the bushes out the front of Bailey Smith's house. He might have been there before, but he wasn't there this time. And they're discussing Bailey Smith's action. I just think this is absolutely bizarre. When has this ever happened? When would the CEO of the AFL be making house calls to players' houses? I find it kind of bizarre that that's gone on. And then adding a little bit of intrigue, and I'm not suggesting that, there's anything else untoward. It's just intriguing that 2 or 3 days later, Bailey Smith fitness test out, not playing. I'll leave that with you. But that, for me, was the most interesting story out of the weekend. I just can't remember that ever happening before. So there's either stuff we don't know that's going on about, that Andrew Dillon's taking an entirely new approach to, by the things that are said on social media or things that players have done. But I would have thought that's a Andrew Dillon phone call to one of the 3 other guys there and say, hey, can you speak to Bailey about X, Y, and Z? Don't know why Andrew Dillon needs to get involved. Probably got enough on his plate, I would have thought, at AFL head office, given the new appointments he's made in Greg Swan and potentially Tom Harley and changing roles of Laura Kane. I reckon it's probably sort stuff out in your own backyard. But there you go, maybe it is his backyard. Dogs have committed to Luke Beveridge for the future, apparently, hoping he re-signs. Could be read resigns, but I think it's re-signs in the next few weeks. This is a massive turnaround for Luke Beveridge, the Bulldogs, and everyone else who's been barking up the wrong tree. Yes, thank you, I'll be here all week. Luke Beveridge, I reckon in the first 6 to 8 weeks, I reckon almost everyone in media and fans were calling for his head. The turnaround he's had on the back of, a side that I don't think has had its best players all year, to have them sniffing around the 8. They've probably had a couple of weeks. What's their form been? So they've lost 2 in a row. But before that, to put them in a position that they're now challenging for finals, when everyone sort of had written them off, Sam Darcy sounds like he's back shortly, which is outrageous. Good on Luke Beveridge, because everyone thought he was leaving. He said he wasn't doing signing a contract. He went on a media tour. I don't feel like he's wavered from his belief in his footy club, and if he goes and signs and stays there, good on Luke Beveridge. I've got a lot of respect for him. He always backs his players and does the right thing by them, and he's a Western Bulldogs man. So Luke Beveridge, congratulations. And Sam Darcy, just on that, if Sam Darcy plays at all this year, that's one of the greatest knee comebacks of all time. That looked like he snapped that in 50 places, bent it back to another country, and apparently he's trained 2 weeks in a row, could play as early as this weekend. That'll be a massive in for the Bulldogs. We'll see how that goes for them. They lost to Hawthorne on Thursday night, didn't they? Yeah, they did. EJ Whitten Legends Game is back for the first time since 2019, August 28 at Marvel Stadium in the pre-finals bye. Where's BackChat's invite? I saw somewhere that past players and digital influencers were getting involved. Imagine Mark Reddings steaming out of the forward line. Talk about comebacks. Sam Darcy with his knee. Skeeter talks about his ACL. Skeeter did his ACL in about under 12s, I think. Imagine Mark Reddings coming out of full forward, dart out the corner of his mouth, bourbon in his hand, steaming out, clunking one, ACL out for the remainder of his life. Yeah, the EJ Whitten Legends Game's back. This is the game, of course, where Craig Hutchison jagged that 45-metre banana. Always a lot of good fun. I think that's exciting. Apparently, yeah, at Marvel Stadium in the pre-finals bye, I still think that bye should be pushed to before the grand final, and they do a State of Origin game there without the grand final sides. I think that would, this will be fun. And it's no AFLX with the super duper goals, but EJ Whitten Game will be fun. So just waiting for my invite in the mail. Thanks, AFL. Assume that's who's organising it. Tom Stewart, a little bit of tribunal news, has been cleared on his bump on Noah Anderson. Good. That is a football action, well executed, physical. Like, that's about as physical of a bump you could ever see. And, although this is very close to going awfully wrong, he got it right. So that's like saying, kicking a goal from the boundary and it just squeezes past the post and you just kick a goal. Well, it could have been a point, but it wasn't. That's probably outcome-based chat from me, isn't it, if I actually think about what I'm saying? I guess it's less about the injury, because I reckon Noah Anderson will miss weeks from that. It looked like a car accident. So I guess the outcome when I'm talking about it is maybe injury, and whether it's head high or not, that, outcome like that. I think the action of pressing hard and fast and making physical contact. That action is what we want in our game, and you have to get it right. Now, if you get it wrong, i.e. if you get the head, then we know that the AFL have, clamping down on that. I think it's a good thing Tom Stewart's not suspended for that one. What do you think? I wonder what you're sort of listening to me speak. Wonder what Tom Stewart was thinking as he comes in. I can tell you when you press as a defender, so that's what he was, right? It was a bit of a skewed kick coming out. You press that, you make the decision well before you're going to have the impact. He's probably pressing to the ball first, and then either ball goes the wrong way, Noah Anderson kind of gets there just first, all happens in a little second. You're going that fast and you're going to make contact. You're just better off, making sure you get it right, and it looked like Tom Stewart did. So good to see he's been cleared. In the same game, Jed Walters, swinging arm to the head of a Geelong player, forgetting which one it was. Patrick Voss literally got 3 weeks for the exact same action. The exact same. And that is an action we do not want in our game. Go and have a look at Jed Walters and his action in that Geelong game. That should be a 3-weeker. That's something that we don't want in AFL. Swinging arms to the head. It just so happens that the outcome wasn't a player going off the ground. He's very, very lucky to get away with that. And to finish off on Tribunal News, Sam Durham last night could be in trouble for a bump on Adam Chera. I'm sure the news will be coming through shortly on social media, but this was poor technique from Sam Durham. Adam Chera had his head over the ball, which was in a vulnerable position. Now, how much responsibility is on Adam Chera? Probably a little bit to cover himself up, but Sam Durham basically split him down the middle with a shirt front to the head. Adam Chera was some controversy around the HIA with this one. He was sort of left out there for 13 or 14 minutes, and they took him off and they put him on, and then they finally got him off again and, did the HIA. He cleared everything. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some delayed onset with that one. I reckon that was a strange handling of Adam Chera's, given he was injured, but Sam Durham will be in big trouble for that, I would say. Hey, just a couple of news stories coming out this morning of Western Australia before I get onto the games. A couple of players relevant to Fremantle and West Coast, young players. Neil Erasmus reported by Ryan Daniels. Neil Erasmus is reportedly on the radar of 4 clubs. He's been in and out of Fremantle sides over the last month or so. He was also the medalist in the Waffle Grand Final last year. He is reportedly a top priority for the West Coast Eagles. Could be one of the first players to make that switch in a little while, Freo to West Coast. So keep your eye on that. And Angus Sheldrick at the Swans. Ryan Daniels also reporting that he's been on the recruitment trail over the weekend. Someone's spoken to him. I bet you he spoke to someone. Let's have a think about it, actually. So he's reporting on Erasmus and Sheldrick this morning. I saw Ryan Daniels sprinting out for Channel 7 on the Bunbury game yesterday. Like, literally thought he was getting subbed into the game when the siren went. Was very aggressive, getting in amongst it, interviewing a player out there for Channel 7. So he was there in Bunbury. Who did he speak to yesterday that told him the news? All right, let's have a think about that, because both of these have come out this morning. So he's found out yesterday and confirmed them this morning, I reckon. Yeah, Angus Sheldrick, who has been playing the last couple of weeks for Sydney and doing pretty well. He's a West Australian lad. He has strong interest from a number of clubs, including the West Coast Eagles. Sheldrick has strong relationships with West Coast CEO Don Pike. Maybe that's who Ryan Daniels spoke to. Who knows? So there we go. Sheldrick and Erasmus. What do you think about that, Eagles fans? Would you add them to your midfield? Would they make that better? Hewitt, Reid and co with those two? Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. Who knows? Will Scoville, Shelter Brewing Co., the beer that we can't get enough of. It's not Skeeter, it's just me. Let's get into the games. Let's talk about Bunbury. North Melbourne 62 defeated West Coast 52 in what must be said was a terrible display of football. Hands oval, put on a show. Weather was perfect. No wind to be known about. The stands were packed. The atmosphere was terrific. They had food trucks. I reckon they got it pretty much right with entry to the game, although I did hear a few post-game saying it was a bit of a shit show to start the game getting into the stadium, but you kind of can forgive that given they don't host AFL ever. By the time the game started, it was absolutely humming and pumping, and every seat was taken and the hill was full and the weather was perfect, and we were treated to one of the least skillful games I've ever seen in my entire time covering AFL. The first 5 minutes of this game, if you go back and watch it, there was 10 no-pressure fundamental handballs and kicks that just missed the target completely. And as soon as I saw that, I was just thinking, this is going to be a very, very long day. The Bunbury Kangaroos came from behind and won this one. That's very good, Isaac. The Bunbury Kangaroos came from behind to win by 10 points. They were down by 18 points, the 11-minute mark of the last quarter. But before that, West Coast were 1 goal 13, I think. They could not kick a goal. There was some pretty remarkable stats happening. So the West Coast Eagles were on track to have the most amount of inside 50s to not kick a goal ever on record. They kicked one in the second quarter. If they didn't kick that, it was going to be the most inside 50s ever, because a lot of West Coast game was actually looking in pretty good nick. From a positive side, the inside 50s were up. In the first quarter, they had 14 tackles inside 50. That's their most ever in the last 10 years. To put that in comparison, the week before against Geelong, they had 4 inside 50 tackles total. So they had 14 in the first quarter alone. So their tackles were up, their inside 50s were really good. They just couldn't connect. And I don't think it was really, the Kangaroos putting numbers back and making it difficult to score. West Coast just literally couldn't score. And then North Melbourne, on the other hand, were so poor. They had no ability to go inside 50. They had something like 13 inside 50s to 40 or something at halftime. And they were just nowhere. So West Coast couldn't score, and then North Melbourne, their style of play was absolutely god-awful. And so you had this concoction of crap that we were watching. There was plenty of feedback online. We put this out to some of our Instagram followers. Scotty Tomo on Insta said, "We're still on the up. We've come so far this year. Also, our top 3 players are out." So that's from Scotty about West Coast, I assume. Matty Stenhouse, "I threw shelter up all over myself. Games we can win are more stressful than ones we can't." And Filthy Phil says, "Green shoots, but frustrating." Bo Allen, 4 minutes. I found that one strange. So Bo Allen was sub. He came on with 4 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the game. They were fatigued. I don't know if they couldn't make a decision or they didn't want to, take someone off. They had, Allen, Williams and Reed all playing. I think they probably could have subbed one of them off earlier to get the run of Bo Allen. He comes on and doesn't have a touch, but he was there for 4 minutes. So just a strange game. Kobe McKercher had 35 disposals, 31 of those effective. So he towed his line in terms of possessions and effectiveness. Tristan Sherry was very good with 22 disposals, 37 hit-outs and 10 clearances. Luke Parker was probably the difference in the end. He played 0% midfield time in the first half. They put him on ball. Second half, he had something like 17 disposals, 6 clearances and, really and kicked a goal. And someone like him with such experience to be able to do that, that it takes a lot of courage, doesn't it? So something that won't go down in the history books for AFL quality and the way that we enjoyed it. But, speaking to people around the ground and seeing kids there and, lots of people enjoying themselves in corporate areas. The North Melbourne president function was right behind me, feeding me soft drink and party pies for the day. I thought overall a pretty good day. And North Melbourne will be happy. They win, so they don't sell a loss. They sell a win. Anna Papaleo was, annoyed and pissed off that they'd gone and sold their game to Bunbury and, what's it going to do to 4 points? Well, they got them. Doesn't matter how they get them. They got their 4 points. So instantly this trip's worth it. If they won one of their games, this trip was going to be worth it because they get their money and now they get their points. And regardless of how they did it, that is an absolute tick to the North Melbourne Footy Club for selling their games because they've just made money that they were never going to make. And they've probably won a game that, I don't know, who knows if they would have won it, but they did win it, and that's how they do it, and it's a great effort by them. All right, Will Schofield, Shelter FootyCast. Is the footy better with Shelter? That's what we're asking you over the next couple of weeks and to finish off in months. Just a little teaser, Hazy's incoming and maybe the BackChat Ale. I had one of those down at Shelter, tasting very good. First one's off the production line. But this week we're doing lagers. So if you want to participate and you want to go into the draw to win over $800 in prizes, all you have to do is buy a carton of Shelter using Lager 20 at checkout. That's right, shelterbrewing.com.au. Buy yourself some lager, Lager 20 at checkout, and watch the footy. That's what we're asking you to do. Watch the footy and have a beer. Best competition ever. $800 in prizes. Last week we did the export stout. Gave a prize away. So every beer we're giving away prizes, and the entries have started coming in. So once you have your beer, once you do your thing, go on to shelterfootycast.com.au, click the button that gives you the feedback button, and you can leave an entry there. That's where you do it. All right, footycast.com.au, shelterfootycast.com.au. Is that right? Yeah. Shelter FootyCast? That's right, isn't it? Come on, Hayden. Yeah, shelterfootycast.com.au, and you can leave your entry there. Let's get some entries out of the way. A couple have come in for us. Very good. This is for the lager. Fellas, let's not muck around. The footy is miles better with a Shelter lager in hand. And for mine, very good, it hits even sweeter when it's 20% off and delivered straight to my door. Big thanks to Scoey. He might be dropping off beers now, but don't forget, Scoey cooled down Collingwood's forwards in the 2018 grand final. I like this one. Like they'd just been dunked in a tank of Shelter lager. Ice cold performance, straight out of the esky, and somehow the Norm Smith went elsewhere. Good bloody question. And if you ever need unbiased footy chat, just ask Mark Reddings. More neutral than Switzerland and twice as smooth after a few Shelter lagers or bourbons and a cheeky dart. The bloke could be watching a grand final with his feet on fire and still say, yeah, look, both sides have had their moments. You won't get a favourite team out of him, but you will get a solid yarn, a Shelter in hand, and probably a light, if you ask nicely. When the game's tight and the pressure's on, there's only one thing I'm reaching for, a cold Shelter. Big tackles, big moments, a bit of Harley Reid's magic, and an ice-cold lager to match. You beauty. Footy with Shelter lager, that's living. From Corey. Oh, you've written us a fucking ad, Corey. Holy shit. Very good. I like it, Corey. Before I read the next one, who is coming in from Jamie. Thank you, Jamie. I'd love to see people that don't like it. I'd like to hear people that don't like the lager. We heard from Paps on Thursday that he's not a lager man. I like these, and I clearly like it when Skeeter gets the shit taken out of him. But if you don't like it, this isn't a comp where you have to just tell us how good Shelter is, right? Shelter want to know if it's no good. All right, so let us know in that regard too. Shelterfootycast.com.au, put your entry in there after you've bought your beers from shelterbrewing.com.au with Lager 20. The polar opposite of the AFL MRO, Scoey? That's a great start. Cracking open a Shelter beer while watching the footy is like watching Skeeter shove his pockets with those losing TAB tickets and wait for his mum to pick him up at the local. Iconic. It's smooth, bold, and delivers every time. Kind of like Scully's voice after a few brews in Adelaide for gather round. Thought you were saying smooth, bald and like Scully's head. Whether you're at Optus Stadium watching the Dockers or Eagles go at it, or on the couch yelling at the telly, Shelter's the kind of brew that fits right in. It's brewed right on the coast in Busselton, clean, crisp and no nonsense, just like a textbook intercept mark from Sammy Taylor. Oh, I like that. Backman in. I like it. Need a game changer in the fourth quarter. Shelter's Pale Ales got a show. Shelter Pale Ale. Hang on a second. What's happening here? Need a game changer in the fourth quarter. Shelter Pale Ale's got the fresh hops to match a Nick Nat Center clearance. Explosive and refreshing. Hey, as much as I love Shelter Pale Ales, not sure that what has to do with anything, Jamie. All right, I'll finish you off. And let's be real, every siren, every specky, every dodgy bump that call, that's just a bit better when you've got a cold shelter in hand, because like all good footy moments, it's about mates, passion and something bloody enjoyable in your hand. Just remember to offer the visitors one. Isn't that right, Skeeter? Jamie, I can see some M dashes in here and it's sounding like an ad for lagers. Jamie, you be honest. You let us know however you like. You be honest. Did you put that into Chat GTP? I want to know, because I reckon, and I'm calling you out, you've just had that done by AI, my friend, and that's how Shelter's Pale Ale slipped in there about Nick Nat, all right? Not bad, Jamie, but I want to hear it from your words, not bloody, I was going to say, not bloody Elon Musk. He doesn't do AI, does he? All right, it's Will Schofield on the Shelter FootyCast. Let's get into the games. Western Bulldogs, 81 defeat. Hawthorne, 59. That's incorrect, Isaac. Don't try and stuff me around writing shit on the run sheet that's not true. If Skeeter was here, he would have pissed himself laughing. Hawthorne defeated Western Bulldogs, 81 to 59, and I picked them. This is the one that Skeeter was trying to make me change, wasn't it? Great, I picked them. Sucked in, Skeet. I hope you're off the top of the ladder in the WA footy tipping, the West Australian, the point of reason. Hawks kicked 5-1 in the first quarter, and it was basically all over from there. Margin never got back under 10 points. Jack Ginnivan with a big late goal showed the ball to Bailey Dale. Ironic, given Willie Rioli did it to CJ, and it started a fight only a month ago. Ginnivan, for what it's worth, is in very, very good form. 23 touches and 2 goals after 30 touches the week before. John Newcomb had 27 touches, 10 clearances, 10 score involvements and a goal. Big Mabs, Mubby Old Chol, kicked 4 goals, 2 goal assists. He was absolutely everywhere in this game and absolutely torched them. He's someone that they need to go and get going for them to play well, Hawthorne. Hawthorne laid, let me tell you, 82 tackles after only 74 combined in the last 2 before. Josh Battle was the only Hawk without a tackle. That is a response if I've ever seen one. I was a week early with the response, but clearly Hawthorne, like, it just was never going any other way this game. Bulldogs off a bye, Hawthorne off 2 losses in a row, 3 losses in a row even. Sam Mitchell would have had he would have cooked him, I reckon. Spoke to Adam Simpson during the week, who I think maybe had a little bit of a chat to those at Hawthorne and what had gone on. And apparently this was the order of events. After that, loss last week, Sam Mitchell gave him a good spray, and maybe even a good spray on the Monday as well with team review. But then left them to it, and the players came to him with what they wanted to do and what they wanted to stand for going forward. So as a coach, and not that I have experience in it, but speaking to Simo and to others in that sort of regard, as a coach, if your players are driving or whatever message you're trying to get through, then it's basically all over. Like, if you get buy-in from players and you get player-driven behaviour, not that you don't have a job to do, but that is exactly where you want to get to. And I say Hawthorne is in very good spots to continue this run going. That's right. I said it was going to be 4 in a row against Brisbane, but let's go from Bulldogs. They go Adelaide at Tassie, big game coming up. They go bye, they'll win that. They go North Melbourne in Tassie. So they're going back-to-back weeks in Tassie. with a bye in the middle. I wonder if they're going to stay down there. Surely not. Maybe they can build a stadium while they're down there. Then they go St Kilda. Then they go Dockers here. Wow. Hawthorne are back in business. It's going to come down to that Freo game, whether they have a really good month of footy or not. And that's going to be a terrific game at Optus Stadium in round 18. But Hawthorne are rolling now. They'll continue to win. Big game against Adelaide this weekend, but they're going to be back in business, I reckon. Adelaide, talking of Adelaide, defeated Brisbane 68-63. Adelaide Oval Friday night in absolutely shit-house conditions at Adelaide Oval. It was pissing down rain in this one, which I actually thought that might suit Brisbane, given that when they play up at the Gabba, it's pretty slippery conditions. Adelaide was 17 points down at three-quarter time in this one. It looked as if it was done and dusted. Brizzy were all over Adelaide, absolutely all over. And then one man stood up in the last quarter. In the first 5 minutes of the last quarter, I don't know what was said at three-quarter time. Jordan Dawson had 5 touches, 2 contested marks, kicked a goal, and a goal assist in the first 5 minutes. Like, they kicked the first 2 goals in that first 5 minutes, got them within a goal, and it was literally Jordan Dawson. Keezy, right, the big Keezer, he was absolutely sizzling. His energy, right, around Jordan Dawson is what matched them. And you could see, as long as they kick the score and hold Brisbane off, which they did, they got their energy right and Brisbane didn't in the last quarter. But Jordan Dawson, I reckon he's got to go down as like one of the greatest trades of all time. Like, to trade Jordan Dawson from Sydney, who he was no superstar at Sydney, no slouch, no superstar. To trade him and within 12 months be captain of your side and to be in the top 5 midfielders in the competition right now, that's got to be the greatest. I reckon that's the best trade of all time. I don't know what they traded him for. See if I can talk and look at the same time. Let's have a little look. Jordan Dawson, Adelaide, Sydney trade. I just think Jordan Dawson for a first rounder, that's it. 1 first rounder for a captain of your side and maybe lead you to absolute glory. I reckon you're going to give that up. We know others that have gone for 2 first rounders, Western Australia, specifically West Coast, that have not turned out to do that. So that is just ripping there. A couple of other stats. Crows kicked 5 goals straight in the last quarter from 8 entries. Pretty good efficiency, where the Lions kicked 8 behinds and 2 out in the full from 20 entries. They had 10 shots. It's like West Coast on the weekend. Crows only kicked 5 goals in 3 quarters and then 5 in the last. Absolutely brilliant stuff from there. Brisbane won clearances by 19. Crows won tackles by 25. But yeah, Jordan Dawson's 3 contested marks and 3 goals. 3 score involvements in the last, changed the game. He won the game for him. It's not very many players that you just go, one player changed the game, but he did that. Absolutely outstanding, Jordan Dawson. Sydney 80 defeated Richmond 36 at the MCG Saturday Arvo. I did not see a lick of this game, so let me tell you what happened. Richmond kicked 3 of the first 4 goals of the game. I did actually see this because I tipped Sydney like everyone else. And they had to fight back a little bit, but Sydney kicked the next 10 of the game. Tigers kicked 1 goal after quarter time. James Jordan kicked 3 goals on defensive forward on Nick Vlaston. That's how you do that, by the way. I've had to play that role. The very best way to play defensively on a defender is to kick goals. Like, you see all these guys tagging. I've had to do it on like Adam Goods and when he was playing back. Luke Hodge, Lindsay Gilby when he was doing that role. Probably some other good players that I'm thinking of. The best way possible is to get a touch and kick goals because they're going to defend. So well done, James Jordan. Sydney were 45 in marks, controlled the game. Nick Blakey, 34 touches. Richmond are what they are. They try hard. They got good spirit, but they're not good enough to win games of footy at this stage for most of the time. Sydney, that says nothing about them either. Sydney, the MCG, good job. They'll move home. They need to get better. Geelong, 61 defeated. Gold Coast, 37 at GMHBA Stadium. Some strange weather here as well. We talked about a couple of incidents from this game with reporting and injuries. Max Holmes, 40 disposals and 10 clearances, dominant in absence of Bailey Smith. Now, Don't let me tell you how to do your job, Damien Hardwick, and I know you won't listen to a thing I say, nor should you. However, if you looked at Geelong the week before and you look at Geelong's list, Max Holmes and Jeremy Cameron, not that they're only two good players, but they are the only two that are going to rip a game apart. Maybe and Tom Stewart, if you let him run free in the back line. To let Max Holmes have 40 touches, so that tells me you've backed your mids in and you're going head to head and we're going to, get the job done. That is a combination of poor coaching and poor execution by your players. You cannot have Max Holmes, the only dominant midfielder out there with no Bailey Smith, do that. You have to have someone to at least go and put some time into him. That's just like basic. I don't know how you let that happen and you lose the game because of it. Matty Rowell had 24. Anderson obviously copped that massive hit. He had 19, Miller 20. So they had no impact from anyone in their midfield while Holmes is running around having 40 touches. Mind you, the only other player, Tom Stewart, who I mentioned, he had 14 marks. I wouldn't be looking too far past yourselves and how you should have won that game, Gold Coast, because that's really poor. Geelong were 50 up in marks, so they completely outplayed them, 105 to 55. There are 154 stoppages, the most ever recorded in the AFL, ever. Joe, I'm just looking at Joe Witsy had 64 hit outs. Reece Stanley had 42. Blitzarves had 13. Mac Andrew had 10. That is a big day for the ruckman. Who played on Jeremy Cameron? Mac Andrew kept Jeremy Cameron goalless and 6 disposals after 18 goals in the last 3 weeks. That is a big day for Mac Andrew because Jeremy Cameron, so at least they got one of them right. Max Holmes, Tom Stewart, Jeremy Cameron, they kept Jeremy Cameron goalless, but that's what backs do. They're responsible for players. It's really poor by the midfield of the Gold Coast Suns. They've got to get better and they've got to get better away from home because that's a step backwards for them. Port Adelaide 66 defeated GWS 50. Talking about sides that are going backwards. What is going on with the Giants? I just don't I actually don't understand that, how you lose to Port Adelaide in Manuka, which is not a home game, but Canberra's been pretty good hunting ground for the Giants. It's the first time this season Port Adelaide has won the final quarter, so that says where they're at. Giants were scoreless in the third quarter, only third time in 10 years. Zach Butters, 12 clearances, 21 contested possessions. Jack Buckley and Sam Taylor combined for 21 marks and 26 intercepts. That's a record of all time between two players. So they're getting the ball back. They can't move the footy. Toby Green was subbed out at halftime after it looked like a hip pointer injury, big cork to the glute and hip, and couldn't run. But GWS have got to look within here because they are absolutely nowhere. To get done by Port Adelaide, who are nowhere, we know they're nowhere. They've got a lot of work to do. Best players on the night for GWS were Green with 31. Lockie Ash had 30, but they can't move the footy. They got big issues, and they got the bye next week. Maybe they'd be desperate for a bye. Their bye is in round 16, so they got a way to go as well. So GWS, it's not the kissing finals goodbye, but you're in that GWS, Freo, Bulldog sort of area that one of you is going to miss out. And the way that GWS are playing right now, they are the ones. Carlton defeated Essendon 78-70. I said they were no good. Maybe Essendon are just that bad. Carlton 6-1 in the first. Again, Essendon starts poorly. MCG. This is a pretty even game. Most stats were pretty even. Tom de Koning was very good with 23 touches, 7 clearances and a goal. Sam Walsh looks like he's returned to his best, 32 touches after a big weekend last weekend. I will say Nick Martin, he was best on ground by a fair way. 31 touches and a goal. He just gets better and better every time I see him play. Like, he's an absolute superstar. They need more from their players that aren't superstars, though. Found it really weird that Essendon played Zach Merritt in the goal square for the entire last quarter. I'm on the coach's case today, aren't I? Zach Merritt your best player, and it's not even an argument. So Nick Martin's good, but Zach Merritt was getting tagged. So what? Put him in the midfield. What? Like, Zach Merritt's not Jordan Dawson. Like, Zach Merritt's not a 6'3" midfielder. He's a crumbing work rate midfielder. Put him in the back line. If you're going to put him anywhere, put him in the back line. That was bizarre. He played 0 minutes in the midfield in the last quarter and they lose. So coaches trying to be too smart for themselves. That's another one in that regard. Because that's what happened actually on Friday night in the Adelaide game. They played Rankin as a forward for the entire first half and they just looked like shit. And so then you go and put your best player, Isaac Rankin in the midfield, and he had 9 touches in the third quarter and got you back into the game. It does my head in. Anyway, Essendon lose that one. Carlton, a big win for them. Are they a chance to just revitalise themselves? I saw Dan Gorringe back from the dead, Undertaker style last night. Carlton play West Coast. They play West Coast next week here. Big game, you'd say. Carlton play Kangaroos the week after that. So that is the bottom 2 sides on the ladder. They then play Port Adelaide, who are 15th on the ladder. Right? If they play Essendon in round 17, they play Collingwood, big game. So the next 4 weeks for Carlton are huge. If they can win 3 or 4 of those, they could be almost all the way back. That's it for the games because Freo and St Kilda had to buy. Will Schofield, Shelter Brewing Co., beer fresh from the Busselton foreshore. Okay, questions and comments from you to finish us off. I'm confused by the fixation on having a roof in Tasmania. Hobart's got a lower yearly rainfall than Melbourne does, doesn't it? Asked Michael on YouTube. Oh, we need to save that one for our weatherman, Mark Reddings. I have no idea how much rainfall they have. Look, my uneducated thoughts on this, Michael, is I think it's to do with the wind, isn't it? Like, maybe it's not. You could also be right, Michael. Like, when we play a winter sport and footy's not meant to be pure, maybe Tasmania's just played, as it is in Tasmania, as it has been done over the last 150 years. Maybe it's just played out in footy ovals and they get it done. Look, I don't know what Tassie footy looks like during the year in their local leagues, but potentially the grounds get ripped up and it turns into a bit of a mud pit. But I don't know. We play footy everywhere else other than Marvel Stadium, outside without a roof. So I kind of agree with you, Michael. All the rumours of player movement just give the AFL media something to fill the ever-growing shows of podcasts. As a fan, not much to do about it until either happens or not. From David. Well, given we're running footy shows and podcasts, I can't necessarily agree with you, David. We've got too many of them. But the AFL player movement stuff, I still think it'd be fixed by opening it up more. If it was open up more and you could have players from the state leagues and you could have player movement between sides. I think it was Damien Hardwick's suggestion at some point, loan system. I like that loan system. I think it'd give opportunities to players at other clubs that aren't getting a game, like an Erasmus, if you're talking about him, or a Frost at Hawthorne. And teams need a player. Like, doing a loan system would work. Like, if you did a six-week loan system, those players wouldn't have to move their whole lives. They go and they play footy and they play in the AFL and then they go back, just stay in a hotel for 6 weeks. I actually like that idea, but who knows. And the last one from the Vanguard on YouTube, eventually there'll be 2 divisions with the grand final played between the 2 winners of each division final series. No, there will not. I spoke to someone at the Shelter FootyCast live event down at Shelter. Thanks to all of those who came to that. Good to share a couple of beers with you. I spoke to someone down there around the Foxtel Cup, which is the one Skeeter always talks about, and he was on the road with Barry Hall and getting on the beers with him and doing games pissed by the sound of it. I like that game. Like, that was like the FA Cup, really. Like, I think they got the best 4 sides out of each state league competition. They did a competition around the country with that. I like that idea. I don't know how they fitted that in from a schedule point of view. probably in the bye. They play them in their byes or something like that. But there's no way there's enough talent to play and to have two divisions. And there's no way a VFL side beats Collingwood or a WA side beats Brisbane. Like, you'll just get your pants pulled down. So that, I guess if you're looking at it from Adam Papalia's point of view, where he said, well, eventually there will be in 100 years. Well, maybe, but not in my lifetime, the Vanguard. But thanks for your contributions anyway. If you do want to get involved with the show, jump on to Shelter FootyCast on Instagram and send us a comment on there. Send us a direct message. Send us an email, footycast@backchatstudios.com.au. And remember, go and buy some beer at shelterbrewing.com.au. Use Lager20 at checkout. Head to shelterfootycast.com.au. Tell us why the footy is better or worse with a lager, and you can get it done. I reckon that's a pretty good job by me. 45 minutes of talking. My voice didn't go too badly. We'll have Skeeter back in the chair Thursday for me to give him absolute shit about not being available for a show that he's committed to for the rest of the year. But until then, enjoy your week. Enjoy the game that is today. By the way, there is a game on today. I should remember that. I'm not going to preview it that much. Melbourne, Collingwood. I don't have a preview in front of me, but Melbourne, Collingwood play today. Public holiday in Melbourne. Hopefully you get to watch that. And I'll take Collingwood, by the way. I'll pick Collingwood. We will see you Thursday. Bye-bye.